Got a black magic woman. Got a black magic woman. I've got a black magic woman. Got me so...
We've talked before about short, reductive adaptations of manga, serving mostly as a commercial for that manga, on this show before on several occasions. The first time was Grappler Baki. Then there were such titles as Tokyo Babylon, Area 88, Harmageddon, Cypher, Outlanders, Battle Angel, and Sukiban Deka. You could even argue that Gunsmith Cats is that too, though it's more of a distillation of elements. Some of these adaptations may just be taken from the first few chapters of the manga they're based on, or copy the basic premise but shorten the story to wrap it up quickly. Others, like today's selection, are so distilled, they practically have nothing to do with the source manga at all. I'm not sure how I've gone 64 episodes without talking about Masamune Shirow, the pen name of a manga artist whose real name is Masanori Oda. He's garnered great fame for his creations over the years, including Appleseed, Dominion, and Ghost in the Shell. Nowadays, he mostly draws porn. Actually, parts of some of the aforementioned titles are basically softcore porn, despite being better known for their animated adaptations. But Shirow's first work was a short one-volume manga whose adaptation is the subject of this review, Black Magic M-66. And frankly, this OVA has almost nothing to do with that manga. The manga takes place in a high-tech civilization on Venus, where a supercomputer basically controls the government, but with various powers looking to control the supercomputer, a super android woman named Duna Typhoon fights to keep them from accomplishing their machinations. She has strange powers that help her do this. The short OVA? It's loosely based on part of the manga. Very loosely. Just the basic premise of the anime, involving an out-of-control robot that the military is attempting to stop, comes from the manga. At first I wondered if Shirow realized how badly screwed the adaptation was. And then I found out he wrote the screenplay. Our story begins with a distressed military aircraft crashing, and the cargo it was carrying, two ominous-looking containers, beginning to stir. Our heroine, Sybil, this badass reporter looking for a hot scoop, picks up on radioactivity about the crash with her various tuner radios and computers, and prepares her equipment for an exclusive shoot. Though she also forgets that the people outside can see her other equipment, and hurries back for some freaking clothes. This vaguely Chuck Norris-looking major in the military leads an investigation into the crash site. The soldiers find the two containers opened in the woods, and their specialist informs them that the containers held the M-66 anti-personnel robots. Based on the assumed behavior of the bots, the specialist concludes that they must have somehow been activated to hunt somebody down. But who? Who? The answer is pretty stupid. April O'Neil here and her partner Vernon argue over whether it's wise to be spying on a military troop investigating top-secret matters. Vernon rightly argues that it's probably not worth risking their lives for this particular story, but our Ripley-esque badass reporter doesn't care about such trivialities. The military are desperate to contact the man who created the M-66 units, to the point of a little private property destruction in their haste to contact him. His granddaughter Ferris's room gets wrecked, and she sneaks down into his lab to report to him about the emergency.
Failure.
Grandpa, the military wants you again.
What? Don't they know I'm working on my research? Just to answer some petty question.
But they got us this nice house.
I don't recall selling them my soul.
Oh, take your keys with you. I'm going out with my
The
friends.
system must be rebuilt before anyone discovers the flaw.
Turns out Grandpa Specs here just came to the realization about a flaw in his robotic systems, or something like that. But that's a little too late, and he's escorted to the crash site. Elsewhere in the woods, two hikers are attacked by, Dead bear? Nope, that was the work of an M-66 unit. When Grandpa Specs arrives at where the military have set up a road blockade, he freaks out over the activation of the M-66s, while April takes footage and Vernon bitches. Apparently the soldiers hear his bitching because they subdue and captured the two of them. Well, we all know that freedom of the press only goes so far when it comes to the military. But fortunately for our intrepid reporters, though fortune is relative, the killer robots attack the soldiers before they can be silenced. And damn, these robots can dance.
Position.
They manage to restrain one of the units, which self-destructs and takes out some soldiers with it. The other seems a little bit feistier, however, continuing to evade attacks and ultimately escaping into the forest. A frightened Specs reveals that as a test to program the M-66 units, a hypothetical test target was chosen: his own granddaughter. The experimental program was supposed to be replaced with an operating one, but the crash happened on the way to the test site. Meanwhile, Ripley and Kaishiden escape. Why would you, even experimentally, program your granddaughter as the target for killer robots? Even for a test program! What kind of family is this where a granddaughter walks around the house in skimpy outfits and the grandfather programs robots to kill her? I thought my family had issues. Or at least they used to before I had them put in, protective custody. But I digress. The military determines that the crash was caused by a spy in their ranks who wanted to warn their country about the creation of the M-66 units. Naturally, they have to find a way to plug the leak before the information gets to the public. Meanwhile, Grandpa Specs continues to lament his moronic decision to make his granddaughter a test target for killer robots. You know, like you do. Sybil comes across Specs' house and investigates the damage done to it, which is only partially from killer robots. She comes across a message Ferris left her grandfather about staying out late, which is lucky for her. But maybe not so much. Putting together that the remaining unit must have seen the video, Sybil sets out to find the girl before it kills her. The military is already in the city where Ferris is out to dinner, with roughly the same goal. The M-66 is out for a night on the town itself, and Ripley reaches Ferris barely in time to warn her about the robot's objective. At first she's skeptical, but she gets the memo pretty soon. The military arrives shortly to attempt to restrain the thing while the duo run off. Most of the rest of the feature takes a page out of the Terminator, and it's a lot of fighting while running from the killer android.
You're breaking the ribs.
We've located and secured the target.
Bring her to the roof.
Roger. Nakamura is bringing the target to the roof. Use the high-speed craft and pick her up.
Sir!
It's coming.
Let's move out. Cable set. Fire!
The soldiers think they've trapped and subdued it in a hallway in the building the restaurant was in, but they make the stupid mistake of trying to obtain it whole, and it reacts before they can deactivate it. Fortunately, Sybil and Ferris have a rappel device, but are forced to circle around in the elevator. Ripley and Newt make their way to the roof with the military bringing their weight down on the robot as it follows. But the M-66 is crafty and resourceful and willing to put itself at risk to snuff out its target. Even after most of the top of the building is wrecked, it keeps coming. Our distressed duo inch ever closer to the edge, desperate to get the unit just where they want it to knock it over. And just at the end...
I can't believe it. Tell me what I've done to deserve this! Get away from her, you bitch!
Well, with the ordeal over, Sybil and Ferris try to calm their nerves as the military cleans things up. Despite falling from a great height, the M-66, while inactive, is largely intact. Ferris doesn't seem to mind that her grandpa's toy almost terminated her, and is more concerned with ensuring that her new friend doesn't get hauled off by the military. On a whim, the commander in charge decides that April is free to go. The official report to the public was that the whole incident was a terrorist attack. Ripley contemplates the events and their repercussions. Her footage was, of course, taken from her, except for the stuff she gave her partner to take to the newsroom. Surely he wouldn't completely screw her over, though, right? Right?
Here now describing our exclusive footage is cameraman Richard Leakey.
Well, it appears that the military is involved.
They seem to be the special forces. Wasn't there any danger in obtaining this footage?
Well, it was very difficult to get any footage during the skirmish, but I felt it was my journalistic duty to cover this story, even if I had to risk my own life. Huh? Cut! Sybil!
And that's the end of Black Magic M-66. And I guess it was a thing that existed? I mean, for the life of me, I cannot imagine any reason why it exists. It has nothing to say. It's just an excuse to do a shallow Terminator ripoff whose entire plot hinges on one character being really stupid. Every other adaptation of Masamune Shirow's works that I've seen are much meatier than this. But on the other hand, it was only about 45 minutes long and had some decent action here and there, so why not watch it? I doubt I'll ever revisit it, though. If you're looking for a robot anime with a bit more to it, well, I think it's about time I revisit classic Gundam. Next time, I'll look at the second movie in the trilogy. Until then, see ya!
Gramps!
Ferris, thank God. Are you alright?
Gramps!
Must have been terrified.
Yeah.